And the Kansas Jayhawks have every analytic tool in their side, on their side, about to go make a run that people thought was impossible. We're the Cinderella story this year as a 4 seed, as the University of Kansas, the most historic program in college basketball. But guess what? We're going to make a Cinderella run right here.
Chris, I will not be surprised when the Hawks make it to the second weekend and we are looking at a chance to go to a Final Four, because me and you talked about it and we manifested it and we put it out there into the universe, and now it's going to come back to us.
I've actually saged my house and did some other voodoo rituals around my house, and I have a big Jayhawk statue in there. So I mean, if the voodoo magic gods are real, just like the ones I met in New Orleans, I think I like our shot a lot.
Dad used to tell me all the time. Son, don't worry about the mules, just load the wagon.
College football tees, college basketball tees, whatever you need, Mercury has you covered with the best merch out there. We're talking about high quality clothing, inexpensive, and the best part is I have a 15% discount for everybody who goes and gets some right now. Use the code below, hit the link in the description, and go get your merch now. Use the code to get 15% off. What are you waiting on? Go do it.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Rock Chalk Unplugged. I'm Chris Teahan, along with my co-host, Mitch Lightfoot. We're super excited about today. I'm about 6 or 7 coffees in. It is the first weekend of March Madness. I'm absolutely stoked. I have a great feeling about the Jayhawks this year. Even though everyone's down on them, I like our draw. I like everything that's coming into this tournament. I think our confidence is going to be back after this long week of practice. Mitch, what is your mood today? I mean, it's a big day.
Hey, it's after my third practice of the day, and I'm still juiced up. Even talking a little bit about Kansas basketball with you prior to us starting recording, it always gets me excited to talk about that. Obviously, we talked about our draw a little bit, but got a great draw, I think. I mean, for everybody saying that, oh my gosh, we've got a great shooting team in the first round, and we've got a McNeese State in the second round. I'm like, dude, honestly, has Kansas fallen this far where we're worried about a mid-major and another mid-major? Like, that should be something that we look at that and like, hey, we're still Kansas. We're still a blue blood. We're still one of the best, if not the best, college basketball program of all time. Like, I think we can all take a step back and look at the fact that we still are who we are. And if we're healthy, then we can cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. And that's the key fact, though, if we're healthy.
Yeah, and I agree with you totally. I do love how you said McNeese State already off the rip. I mean, that's your first upset of the day is you have a Gonzaga losing to McNeese. But either way, Gonzaga's not the team from the past. So that is another – it doesn't really matter. I think if we get through this first game of this weekend and we get some confidence, blow them out of the water maybe, it'll be something huge. I'm super excited for it. I'm ready to watch our boys. As you said, hopefully fully healthy.
Chris, let's talk a little bit about why people are concerned about Kansas against Stanford. Obviously, they're a great shooting team. I think that's something that we've struggled against notoriously in the past, especially this year. Guarding the three-point line is something that we've struggled with. If you're downing ball screens and you have a big Hunt coming back from an injury, trying to get back to shooters on the wing, I think that's something that could give us problems. But like I said, at the end of the day, I think we're more athletic, we're bigger. If we can have our starting five plays well, then we'll have a chance. I mean, we'll have a chance to go far in the tournament, but for sure have a chance to handle business against them. We were talking about this as well a little bit before. The bench this year. I want to go into that a little bit with you. It's been disappointing at times, to say the least. At times, it's been okay, and it's allowed us to win some games. But what do you think has been the main problem, and what do you think we need to see from them in order for us to make a run into the second weekend, third weekend?
You know what? Yeah, you hit it. You hit the nail on the head there with it's been disappointing. Do I have any hatred towards those guys? No, not at all. But I think it starts with confidence. And that's what I wanted to see when we played Cincinnati. I wanted to see people playing free. I wanted to see people shoot the ball without thinking. I wanted them to fly around defensively and just try to make things happen. I don't think that happened against Cincinnati at all. I think that when you look at us shooting, you look at everyone trying to guide the ball. People were being hesitant to take their looks. They weren't being as aggressive as I thought they would be. I mean, when was the last time you've had one All-American, if Kevin plays the whole year, 2 All-Americans. We'll get back to that here in a second. But be out for a game of Kansas basketball. I know, Mitch, we've been in some locker rooms where we've missed some key guys, and Coach Self tells you, go play basketball. I mean, it's February.
Next man up.
Next man up, and you have a leash. We're not going to play the way we usually play because we don't have the players. That should have been the most fun game for those guards to come into and to be able to play.
Coach Self can't coach the same way either. I think he understood that, and he's going to let you go out there and play through some mistakes because there's no other choice. Like, there's nobody else that you can put in. I think that was something I was disappointed with. Obviously, it's a game where you're missing 2 of your All-Americans, and you go out there and you lay an egg and lose by 20 to a Cincinnati team. Like, that's not who we are, and I think that's something that the Kansas fans, like, I look online and I see how like anxious and agitated.
Negative,
anxious, agitated.
Yeah.
All of those are great ways to describe the online presence of our fan base right now. And to be honest, you can't really blame them. You see a team that in the non-con can beat anyone and looks amazing. And this is a completely different conversation a couple months ago. And then you look at now where you have 2 guys get hurt, and that impacts the confidence. But at the end of the day, I think the reason that our bench has been lackluster is that the fact that we've had so many uncontrollable issues pop up preseason, whether it be a guy making an incredibly selfish decision and a heinous decision, and then you have other guys looking to transfer, like stuff like that. I think it makes it hard for coach. It makes it hard for our guys to get confident in a role that they weren't exactly recruited to do. Like you go from thinking, hey, maybe I might play 15 minutes a game. I might play 12 minutes a game, and I'm going to contribute in those 12 minutes a game. To, hey, now you're going to have to play with Hunter and with Kevin Hurt. You're going to have to play 25, 28 minutes a game, i.e., I think of El Marco. I think of Nick Timberlake. I think Parker's in a little bit of a different situation. He has Hunter over. He's backing up Hunter, and he came in understanding he's going to back up Hunter. And nothing, I don't think, really has happened at that 5 spot in terms of the backup role. I think he comes in and provides good spot minutes when he needs to. But at the same point in time, I think that like I said, there's some things that happened that were uncontrollable on the part of the guys that are on the court right now and the guys that are in the locker room right now, and uncontrollable on the part of Coach Self. I think he's going to – obviously, we had the 2 scholarships reduced as well. I forgot to mention that from our bout with the NCAA and the IARP.
Yeah, but it wasn't even the NCAA. It was the IARP, which just even more disgusting, negligent, whatever you want to call it.
And the other thing I think is that heading into – obviously, we're going to talk about this postseason, and this is important to stay in the now. But heading into this next year – I think once you see us get back those two scholarships, and we have some ability to recruit the guys that we want in the locker room. I saw this on Twitter a couple of days ago about how we were talking about how after the 2008 national championship, that led into some of the best years of Kansas basketball. Whereas after the 2022 national championship, it obviously last year was great. We had some stuff. I mean, obviously, Coach Self was sick. Heading into the March Madness, but this year, like we said, there are some uncontrollable things that impacted us, and hopefully we can get those post-national championship years of success.
Yeah,
like I want that post-national championship vibe where guys are wanting to come to Kansas. The best of the best are wanting to come to Kansas because they want to contribute to this tradition and to hopefully winning another championship, and that's something that I think all the guys that are there now want for us to have, but obviously things haven't gone the way we want it so far.
Yeah, and I think you also you said a really good point there with people want to be a part of the tradition. This year, I haven't felt that people really wanted to be a huge part of the position. Tradition. It didn't really take. They didn't have their heart in the game. You watch that Houston game. That's a game where we laid down in the first 4 minutes, and that's a game historically that we're at least close or we're at least battling it out. We look like we laid down. Look like we got soft. Look at the guys on the bench got discouraged very, very early. That was something as an alumni that really, really pissed me off watching.
Do you think? I think this is something you see all across college basketball and college athletics today. I hate to I'm a huge proponent of NIL. I'm a huge proponent of guys getting paid for their likeness, and the guys should be paid for their likeness.
Yeah.
But do you think that's starting to cause people to lose the eye on the prize and lose what really matters, and which is winning?
I do think that.
Let's welcome our newest sponsor of the podcast, Shopify.
Shopify has brought the cash register online and has helped millions of people sell billions of dollars of merchandise. But did you know that Shopify could help your retail store too? Get a serious upgrade to your point of sale system with Shopify.
Shopify's POS is your command center for your retail store. From accepting payments to managing inventory, it has everything you need to sell in person.
Connect with customers inline and online. Shopify is meant for plug and play, from marketing for everything from TikTok to Instagram and beyond.
Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is here to support your success every step of the way. Do retail right with Shopify. Sign up today for our $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Mitch, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/Mitch, all lowercase.
Sign up for a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/Mitch. That is all lowercase. Bring your retail store to the next level at shopify.com/Mitch. We can't wait to see you guys take your retail stores to the next level. As I agree with your comment on it's helped the game of basketball in a way that these players deserve to get paid. You're playing in $1 billion industry. No doubt about that. But I do think it's name, image, and likeness. We talked about it with Greg Gurley. It's not get a collective and pay someone $1 million salary. It's not that. I think that's where it's kind of changed. And, hey, good on the kids. I mean, if you told me when I was 18, 19 years old I could have been at Kansas making $20,000, $30,000, whatever it was, and then here comes an FAU, here comes Eastern Illinois, here comes another school like that going to offer me $100,000 guaranteed money, which I don't know if you can guarantee the money or what's the actual things. I'm not associated with the university, so it's fine for me to say. But it's like that is something that it kind of got out of control. So I think that it will affect it for a while, but now I think that you don't have the COVID transfers anymore. No one who's going to be at school this next year, except for some 6th, 7th year seniors that have just used the system to their benefit the whole time, will be doing the COVID transfers. That's one less free transfer. And then you're also going to look at maybe tightening the rules about it. Nick Saban went to Congress and talked about it, how these kids don't care. And it's been well documented, these major coaches and these big time offensive coordinators, these big time coaches that are at smaller schools looking to make that jump have just decided, you know what, I don't want to make the jump. I don't want to have to deal with the recruiting aspect and the money aspect of everything as a college coach. They want to go to the NFL where they have the GM, where they have the president of operations, the president of the football team, whatever they
and they have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And they have hundreds of millions of dollars in the NBA. And I think that in the NFL.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that if we're not careful, obviously this is not us saying anything with an inside look into
speculation.
It. Speculation, 100%. Do you think I think Coach Self could get to a point where he's like, hey, listen, I've done this for so long, and he's been a Hall of Famer at doing it his way. Yeah. Like, I think that's something that like people have to weigh is that like, hey, listen, like maybe we should figure out that his way does work and let's do it his way. Like, yeah, there'll be collectives and you'll make money, but like, let's do it Coach Self's way. Like that's the way that wins, and that's the way that's won over time, and it's the proof's in the pudding. Like it's something that I think moving forward into next year, I think we're going to start to see less and less of the difference between COVID when we had free transfers and NIL. I think it's going to start to settle down. I think it's going to figure out a steady rhythm of what the new normal is, and hopefully the Hawks can find a way to get back to what we've been used to doing.
Yeah, and I think there's two ways that you can make more money. One is us be awful. You know, we're going to be terrible. Like, say we have a 2-year stretch where we kind of play like it is today. And so then people are like, hey, well, maybe we do need to raise more money. The other way is to win basketball games. I mean, after the national championship, what were the opportunities like for me and you? And this isn't an Ochai, no offense, Mitch, but this isn't Ochai. This isn't Dave. This isn't the two dudes that kind of carried us like NBA-type players who would probably be getting paid $1 million in college basketball right now. What were the opportunities for everybody on the team? And the opportunities skyrocketed.
speaking from experience, like after we got done with the national championship, like obviously your phones exploded. Like there's so many different things on there, hundreds and hundreds of messages from people that you know, people you don't know, and stuff like that. But once I got back on the bus after we left New Orleans, I got back on the bus and I was going through my phone and just seeing like, hey, there's so many different brands that have reached out to you, wanting to partner up with you because hey, there's NIL and this is so you. And as an athlete that has won at the highest level, they want their brand to be attached to that winning culture. Yeah. And I think that that's something that people need to understand today is if you win, the pie is big enough for everybody. That is a Coach Self quote, 100%. That's a Coach Self quote.
Yeah.
But go win, and I promise you, you will make more money than you could have imagined.
In a very short period of time, too. Like you're going to be doing random things.
Yeah, I remember reading through my Instagram DMs, and there was Cane's on there with tens of $1,000 offer to come serve chicken at Cane's. Like I think that's something that it was not even a day, Chris. We were there for
3 or 4 hours,
an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, and
I remember texting my mom, being like, "Mom, this is not real life. Like, what is going on right now?" And I think that's something that some of the guys on our team do know because KJ was there, Dewan was there. They've seen it, but some of the other guys haven't quite had the same experience. And I think that that's something that if it's maybe it's up to us as former players to help educate those guys on how green the grass is. Once you put in the work, once you put in the fertilizer that is the work, and you win games, then I promise you, you will make more money. You will be happier. Playing for Coach Self will be better because he's always a way more joyous person to be around when you're winning games.
And like as you said, we were talking about the monetary side of things, but I can almost guarantee you, and maybe it's just from my experience because I was a Kansas guy through and through, and my greatest goal was to win a national championship. I can tell you the feeling of watching the one shining moment underneath the confetti, wearing a hat and a T-shirt, is 10 times better than any amount of money up to like $100 million that you can get. that rush, that feeling, that thing you get to take with you for the rest of your life. That money you can spend. You probably will spend it. But something that they can't take away from you is that ring that's sitting over there in my closet right now. That is so true. That I've had.
That is so real because, like, I think about it. I talked about it like 2 days ago with my wife about how, like, I still can't believe that we won a national championship. That still feels fake. Like the entire experience is like a fever dream. Like you're sitting there, Mark Emmert's shaking hands with Coach Self, and we're all laughing at the dude. Like this stuff it cracks me up because like it couldn't have been a better written story. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now. It couldn't have been a better written story. And I think that there is an opportunity for an even better story to be written if the Jayhawks this year can put it together and in a side of the bracket that I think we have an opportunity to do well in and play against some mid-major teams and push it to the second weekend. And then once you make it to the second weekend, all bets are off. Anything can happen. I think that's exactly what Coach Self said to us. He's like, hey, just make it to the second weekend. Once you make it to the second weekend, you're playing with house money. It's a successful season. You made it to a Sweet 16. Let's go make it to a Final Four. Win 2 more games.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to be a national championship? Yeah. You want to go to a national championship? Win another game. You want to be a national champion? Win 4 games. Like that is insane. Like, we're really so close to it, and I think it would do so well for all of Jayhawk Nation for us to play well in these first 2 games and make it to the second weekend. And then I think the entire narrative of, oh, woe is us, this is one of the down years of the Bill Self era will be completely out the window. And I think KU has an opportunity to do so. I think we've got a strong enough starting lineup, and I think we can put some pieces together coming off the bench. Obviously, Nick Timberlake is going to be able to compete against some people that were at the similar level to where he came from. I think that's
some confidence.
Yeah, he has some confidence. He's gonna look and be like, hey, I've played against these guys in this level before. I can go kick their ass and help KU win. And I think that's something that we potentially could see. And if that does happen, then I think everybody in KU Nation is going to be excited about the fact that Nick Timberlake is playing like he was last year. So hopefully that can happen, and we can change the narrative of this season by winning 2 games at least. And in every prayer that I have, we win 6 games.
Hey, and you know what? Like, and I tweeted it on Sunday night. The more and more I don't watch Kansas basketball, the more and more I get that sour taste out of my mouth from being injured, being battered, having a 2-day break, a 3-day break, whatever it may be. The more and more I convince myself that when we play good, we can beat anybody. We've seen it, dude. We washed Houston we blew them out of Allen Fieldhouse. And playing at Houston, obviously very, very disappointing game. And that one is the most recent one. So that's what we're going to think back on. But you're always looking at a Houston team that had a point differential at home of an average of like 26, 27 points per game they were winning by if you look through the whole entire season.
Completely different team.
You're not going to have that in the court.
Yeah, a completely different team. I think that was pretty evident when they get blown out by Iowa State by 20 plus. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that plays into it. You're playing on a neutral court now. These are games that you're not going to have your home fan base there. Now we are playing in the Midwest, and it's closer. It is Utah, so it's closer to home than most of the other places we could have played.
Yep.
But at the same point in time, I think, like you said, you're playing on a neutral court. Everybody has an opportunity to win, and it's all about what you put out there and the product you put out there on the court. Mm-hmm. Speaking back to the Houston game, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Obviously, Hunter going down with the shoulder injury. I can speak a little bit from experience with that. Yep. Last year, I dislocated my shoulder, and I basically did the injury that Hunter did, except for like so much worse. Like I had torn ligaments. Mm-hmm. I had injured it on the relocation of it, and from everything that we've seen online and everything that I've read and blogs and whatnot, it seems as if Hunter should be good to go coming into this first round of the NCAA tournament. That's something that I'm super thankful for because I know how painful that is. And whenever like you see him, I saw him clutch his arm and run off the court, and like you could see on the video, like the top of his shoulder. Yeah. Oh, Chris, I was having flashbacks watching that. I was like, oh, please no, please God no.
It popped right back in. It popped. That was the one thing I watched it, and it went right back in, and I was like, you know what? I've dislocated his shoulder before for about 5 to 10 seconds, and you know what? I was fine the next day. And the Big 12 tournament was more of just like make sure he doesn't re-injure it. We're playing the first day. We wanted to get some guys some confidence. So it's not something I don't think anybody should read into. I've heard he's practicing. Mike Vernon told me he was practicing. He's told everybody on Twitter he's been practicing this week. Kevin's looking like he's trending in the right direction. I'm not worried about our injuries. What I'm worried about is did we build confidence coming off of that 4 out of 5 game stretch? And I believe in Coach Self. I believe that we've done everything right during this time. I believe that he's built these players up, let them play more freely, not broken them down, but kind of taken the shackles off of them. There's not much he can teach this team from last week.
It's too late. It's too late in the season.
Yeah.
Like there's no time for us to have any more big lessons. There's no time for us to learn from a loss. Like that, it is win and go home. Mm-hmm. And Coach Self is telling them that. Like, this is what we have. This is what we're going to go out there with. And when we're playing cohesive as a unit, we beat the shit out of teams like Kentucky. We beat the hell out of teams like Houston. Like, I think that's something that we have to understand as a unit, that like we are the best to win at the highest. We are the best that can win at the highest level. But the only way that we're going to do that is if we're playing together and we're playing as a team. And then our bench is giving us something. And we don't have to get 15 points off the bench. But you have to give the starters
a breather.
5-6 minutes of rest.
Yeah.
Like, you have to give them the ability to catch their breath.
I wish I would have looked into this stat a little bit more, but I'm sure that every game that the bench has had 15 points. Outside of games that Kevin and Hunter have been hurt, because, there's been games that they've had 15 points. Obviously, we've had to score, and these guys came off the bench. Whatever. I guarantee 15 points off the bench gets us a win every single time. I guarantee almost over 10 points gets us a win every single time off the bench.
Especially if Hunter and Kevin are playing well, then I think that those numbers get it done for us.
10. I think 10 points off the bench, which it's not like that's not even that is the easiest ask. We won games with like 2 or 3 points off the bench.
And I think the big thing is for us is that we have veterans. winning in March is all about having veterans and making sure they're healthy. If we have Hunter, who's a veteran, Kevin, who's played in a billion big games, KJ, who's played in a national championship, he's won huge games, DeJuan, who's been at the helm for a national championship team.
Yeah, those are like 28 minutes a game.
Yeah, like that's massive. That's massive for us, and I think that other teams don't have that. We have the postseason experience that Samford doesn't have. We have the postseason experience that McNeese State doesn't have. Like even looking at Gonzaga, they don't have the guys that have been deep into the NCAA tournament. They don't have the guys that have won national championships. Like I think it's a great recipe for us to make it to the second weekend.
I really do. And so let's talk a little bit about Samford. I'll first preface by saying Samford made it to the tournament. They're not a team that regularly every single year makes it to the tournament. So that is a big deal for them. They play most of their season to make it to the tournament. We play our season expecting to be in the tournament and expecting to be a top 4 seed. It's 23 years in a row that we've been a top 4 seed. So that's where experience comes in. That comes from the coaching staff who's been together for 20 plus years. That comes from the players who expected to be here. So it's not like a huge weight off our shoulders. We made it. We'll be remembered at this university. It's like, hey, we have so much unfinished business to do. I don't think
you have done the bare minimum.
We've done the bare minimum, which is get in. That was like literally the worst. The worst that this year could have gone. It went. And guess what? We're a 4 seed. So I think that we have unfinished business. And you look at Samford, they're a team that's a boom or bust team. They're top 10 in the nation in steals per game, or like high efficiency turnover rating. And then also they're top 7% in threes attempted, but also maybe 3-point percentage. So they're going to take shots early.
Chris, how positive are you that their white shooting guard is going to make about 7 threes against us?
But I do. I think you know what? I am confident. Mid-majors and white guys against Kansas never do well. But they're a team that if we can keep up with their pressure and we can, score and not let the 6'4" point guard and the 6'4" shooting guard or small forward and the 5 and the 4 all shoot threes. If we only hold one guy to 6 threes, I believe we win. The problem is when we get into the 2 or 3 range, and then you're looking like, oh no. But I really do think they're a robust team, and we've done a good job against those robust teams.
Yeah, like I said, now you got 4 guys that have hit 2 threes, 3 threes, and now you're starting to have to chase tons of guys off the line. Then you're putting a lot of pressure on Hunter because people are driving off bad closeouts, and he picks up an extra foul, and now he's got 3 and has to sit for the rest of the first half and maybe even into some of the second half. Like that's the rest. Like all things considered, that's the recipe for disaster.
And it gives. I mean, hey, if 2 people make 2 threes, 3 people make 2 threes, that as a team morale booster, everybody's going to start playing better defense. Everybody's going to be looking for shots. Everyone's going to be trying to get their teammates shots. That's a morale booster for the team. So that's something we got to, hey, if somebody gets hot, let them get hot. It's whatever. But you can't let that spread and become contagious to the team where now the 6th man off the bench is coming in and knocking in 1. That exactly what you're saying. It just allows them to play with confidence, allows them to do exactly what they want to do in the game, which is speed you up. And if you said it before we got on this thing, the first 4 minutes of this game will tell us how this tournament's going to go. It's going to tell us how the rest of this game is going to go. It's really going to tell us how this tournament goes, what the confidence levels we have, and how are we able to go into the next game. You don't want to go into the next game bruised and battered and like, damn, we nearly escaped that one. We need a 10 to 15 point victory. Minimum 10 to 15 points to get us some confidence.
And some confidence going into either McNeese State or Gonzaga.
Yeah,
I think I would almost I'm not going to take my statement back about the first 4 minutes. I would say our first substitution. Once we put our first substitution in, how that goes for us will let us know exactly what we need to know for the rest of the game and the rest of March.
And do we sub early? Do we see early on how much we're gonna have to put on these guys' backs? I mean, do we sub Marco in early and then just see, hey, if they play well, then we can trust him and then we can deal with it after. Or do we do the thing we've been doing at the 10-minute mark and allow them to go on a run from the 10 to 6-minute mark, and then it's a tied game with momentum going into a 30-minute break?
I say, if in my 100% honest opinion, I think Coach Self has to use his timeouts incredibly wisely and keep the starting 5 rested, because you're going to need them for as long as possible.
Yeah,
like,
I think got to play 2 games. Just 2.
Yeah, you have to win 2 games and then you get a week off.
Yeah, Just two. All he is two.
And for the fans, Chris, what does a March Madness week of preparation look like? Is you're not going balls to the walls, busting your ass every day. It is fine-tuning, preparation, scouting report. Let us know what that looks like.
I mean, yeah, you're nailing it right there. So you're going to get in. Obviously, we didn't play. When we played there, we always got to at least the second game in the Big 12 tournament. So you have a week off. And what they're going to do in that week off, they're going to make sure they're getting their bodies right. Everyone's going to get in the gym and shoot. Everyone's going to go work out with their coaches, whether it's Brady or Dooley or Case. They're going to go in there. They're going to get some extra shots up. They're going to look at some shots that were expected to play, maybe whatever. We probably didn't get the bracket by then. But by Monday, you're practicing shots that they're going to be open. We're going to come in and watch film for an hour and a half on Monday about Samford. And so that's kind of what's going to happen there. And then we're going to hit Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to hit those days. I wouldn't say hard. Tuesday is going to be the hard day. Wednesday is going to be an hour-long hard practice where we're going to go play block-out break. We're going to scrimmage. We're going to run through their offensive plays. We're going to tone in our defensive specialties. And then you're going to go shoot around at the arena. It's another thing that I think we forget. It's a spectacle. You have an hour-long media time where everyone's in the locker room talking to you. Samford, they're going to sit there and they're going to ask him, hey, you match up really well against these Jayhawks. How are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about it? You have to be mentally level the whole entire time. So I think that's another thing we don't think about when we think about these smaller teams playing these larger teams. We've all done.
They haven't been in these situations.
No, they haven't.
We've done it all here.
Yeah.
I think that's something that is, like you said, it is not spoken to enough, and it's what makes the 16, the 15 seed, the 13 seed so impressive when they win, is because they haven't gone through the stuff that a 1 seed, a 2 seed has gone through all year in terms of the hype and the pressure and the media and playing in games where you have a target on your back. I think that's something that can mean a lot heading into this game. Hopefully it bodes well for us and maybe it makes Samford feel a little under pressure. But I wouldn't be betting on that. I think that we need to bet on the fact that we have a starting 5 that can play with anyone, and we need to play up to our potential. I wanted to circle back a little bit and talk about this week of preparation. I think that heading into the March Madness, Coach Self is going to have maybe 30 minutes of practice where we're actually going closer to full speed, just to see how Hunter and how Kevin are doing. He wants to see if he can put. Obviously, I mean, he trusts those guys. Like, Kevin's played for him for a while. Hunter's an All-American. Like, you can trust them, but can their body do it? Because they've been going through some injuries.
Do they have trust in their bodies? That's the major part.
Yeah.
If you're out there career ending, they're not. You're going to hurt it more. They're more about the pain tolerance, and that messes up your brain. Is Kevin going to be able to plant and be explosive off that right or left leg? I can't remember which knee it is. But is he going to be able to be explosive? That's exactly what you're saying. It's like, do they trust their bodies to be able to move around? Are they feeling loose? Are they feeling good? Or is their brain confident? Which is, it's a crazy thing to say, but most of those injuries, as much as they hurt, is mostly about your brain being like, hey, I can hurt this more because it hurts. So are they confident pushing off that foot? Is Hunter, that right shoulder, he's a left-handed guy. Is he okay bumping into people? Is he okay being confident, going up and grabbing boards and really getting after? Those are things he's gonna see very early on. And if it's not, you know what he's gonna do? He's not gonna call off practice, but he's gonna get those bench guys more minutes and just hope in the game that they figure it out.
And the other thing is, we have one of the best training staffs in the entire nation.
Yeah.
Whether that be Cheddar or that be Tyrell, like I think that is, or Docs, or both of our Docs. Like, I think that's something that people that don't get enough credit. Like those guys deal with us 3 times a day. Whenever you're hurt, you're meeting with them twice to potentially 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
From 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night. You're going to be in there. You're going to be getting treatment. And I know that Hunter and I know that Kevin want it so bad. They want this success here, that they're going to be in there getting that work done. And I'm more than confident that we're going to come out there and we're going to see a version of them that we want to see and that we need to see in order for us to be successful.
Yeah, and I think Kansas has Coach Self's a hard guy. He wants you to play not through injury, but through being hurt. And I think that we've shown that our medical staff has done that throughout the years. You look at Dave with his feet. You look at Tyshawn Taylor at one point, tore his meniscus and came back and played 2 days later. Our special team is getting these teams ready. But let's move on to March Madness. Let's move on to our side of the bracket. and just kind of how we match up. So what I like about our side of the bracket is you're not looking at a super, super athletic team. McNeese may be a little bit different. They play very high pace, and they play some. So I mean, I would say they probably play a couple guys that have some length to them, but you're really not looking at an Oregon unless you go to the Elite Eight. You're not looking at an Alabama. You're not looking at I don't even know who else I would put in that category. TCU is kind of a toss-up because TCU is more physical than they are lanky. Houston's another team, very lanky. UCF was a good example. They're not in the tournament, obviously, but they're a super lengthy team. Same with Cincinnati. That's why we had a lot of problems with them, length and size and scoring and shooting. I don't think I see that on our side of the bracket until we get to the Elite Eight.
I exactly, Chris. I look at our side of the bracket. Obviously, you have an opportunity. We have to go handle business the first game. We can't look too far ahead. Stanford can shoot the hell out of the ball. Like if you allow them to get open looks and then make the first two, and now they got confidence, it can be a long night. Trust me. But granted, we go out there, we handle our business. We're locked into the scouting report. Looking ahead, I mean, I see Gonzaga, McNeese. Obviously, Will Wade has got McNeese playing at a super high level.
Yep.
Is at Kansas's level? I think we can push past. I think we can push past them in the second game.
I think that's a 7 out of 10 game. Like, we win 7 times, they win 3. If it's a perfect storm, they could probably beat us, but I do like our chances in that. That's not a 50-50 flip a coin. I do have more confidence in there, and I do have more confidence when we look at Gonzaga as well. Just because we don't like Gonzaga. Gonzaga's had our number, and they're not Gonzaga from the past.
Yeah, and then looking at a potential Sweet 16 game, Purdue doesn't scare me. Now, that's even if Purdue makes it that far. Like that, I've been quoted.
You're going to get me fired up.
Like, I've been quoted saying this in the past. Mm-hmm. Purdue has been a god awful March Madness team. Like I know that's a little bit of recency bias. Like think about Fairleigh Dickinson and losing to a 16 seed.
It's the last 4 years we've been a 1 or 2 seed and lost in the first round.
It just blows my mind that like I'm thinking like, hey, we might not even see them in the Sweet 16. We could end up seeing a TCU. We could end up seeing a
Utah State. They're a good basketball team. They've been great all year.
We could end up seeing a Utah State. Yeah,
we could end up seeing. I mean, not really, but we could end up seeing a Howard or Wagner. Like we honestly could.
Relax.
Wait, we said it last year. Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, they came in and they really beat them down too. That wasn't a game that Purdue played bad. We were talking about before we got on. I watched a good amount of Purdue basketball. If they don't give Edey just a bunch of tic-tac fouls, let him shoot 20 free throws, dude, they are a very, 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 very beatable basketball team. Wisconsin, the refs almost gave Purdue the game there, and Wisconsin still won it just because they can't score anywhere except for free throws. If you're scoring low and they miss one end,
if I'm taking an upset in the first round that is the most astronomical upset, I'm going to take Purdue losing to a 16 seed again. It's crazy that I'm saying that, but I think Purdue could lose to a 16 seed.
They really could. It really depends on the refs. The Big Ten refs have really favored them for a long time, especially Edey. I mean, it's good for basketball. I understand why they do it. I understand that these guys play.
He's 7'6", or 7'4". It's awesome to watch. Like it gets viewers, but if he gets refs from
a 16 seed being the 1 seed, that gives viewers.
Yeah, that'll get viewers. I think that if a 16 seed can come out there and they can sit on his legs and push him out and make him like being a big guy. Like in my experience, like I'm not 7'4" at all.
No,
I'm 6'8", 6'9". Like playing against a DeJuan Harris or a Frank Mason when they're sitting on your legs and pushing you out from the post. It is the most annoying thing to do to try and post up against them.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's probably what Edey feels like against a 6'8", 6'9" center guarding him. He probably feels like they're a 5'10", 5'11" guard. But I think that Purdue, I'm calling it. This is my one losing to a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. I think they can lose to a 16 seed.
Oh yeah. You know what? Hey, I agree. You could lose. I don't actually. Yeah, they could lose to a 16 seed. They definitely could. They're actually playing Grambling or Montana State. That's on me. Either way, I like both of those teams. I think those teams, they're top 25 teams for real if we're really looking at it. Maybe against Purdue. But okay, let's do 3 or 4. Your upsets, my upsets, possibilities. Not saying these are 100%, but where's some value on this board right here?
Chris, I think I look at NC State coming off a huge win over North Carolina. I think they have the ability. They've got everything you want to see in an NCAA tournament team. They've got a big fella that plays at his pace. He's not going to let you speed him up. He's going to score on you. Kind of reminds me of like a bigger, like a wider version of Diedrich.
Very slow, very methodical, got really good touch, but if you get on his back, he's gonna extend that arm and get it up there real quick, and nice, great touch.
What about you? Who's somebody that you think that can be a problem?
You know what? So I'm looking at this board right here. You know, one that I actually haven't even thought about it, but now I'm just looking at it. Just simply based off the fact that Iowa State fans think the Big 12 tournament is their Super Bowl. And South Dakota State has some dogs on their team. I think if we're looking at one team, actually there's 2 teams I could see losing as a 2 seed. I could see Iowa State losing to South Dakota State. I really could see that. I think Iowa State's going to come off a very, very high. They've had super high expectations this year, and they've been known, especially TJ Aussenberg, have been known to maybe choke a little bit. But I also think that Western Kentucky, you have a tenured coach who's been there forever. He's made great teams there. He's made some runs in the tournament playing Marquette, who's been bruised and battered and hasn't had a great second half of the year. Those are 2 that I would keep my eye out for. I filled out my brackets already. Otherwise, I may go back and change one of those picks.
Chris, I've got another one that's a great storyline that I think has their team fighting harder than most teams would as a 15 seed playing against a 2 seed. That's Long Beach State against Arizona. Yep. Long Beach State, they fired their coach prior to the conference tournament.
And they won?
And then they let the coach know that he will not be coming back the next year prior to the conference tournament. And then they went and won the conference tournament to play in the NCAA tournament. So I think that's something where those guys are fighting for their coach. He's been there for, I think, 15 years.
Yeah, he's been there a while.
And I think that has March Madness Cinderella story written all over it. If they can go out there and they can play, Pac-12 hasn't been as strong as it has in the past. Maybe Arizona gets caught sleeping. Long Beach State wins another one for their coach as a farewell gift. Who knows?
And then I also look at that. I mean, we're calling out all the 2 seeds right now. But then you look in the bottom right, and you got Tennessee against St. Peter's. And everyone remembers what happened with St. Peter's. So I think that's another one you may want to look into. I have no idea about St. Peter's at all.
Dude, I think Dalton Connect is too good.
Team. But, dude, they did it before. They could do it again.
Dude, why don't we just take every underdog?
I may do it. I think that if you're really looking for a strategic play, you put Kansas in the national championship, let them win it, and then just choose every underdog and just hope the point differential in your bracket ends up beating everyone else in your bracket pool. So I think this is the strictly
strictly hypothetical.
Strictly hypothetical. Yeah.
No gambling advice whatsoever. Hypothetical.
No. This is just like, hey, I will sit
I'm going to tell you what to do.
Everybody except for Kansas loses. I don't care who you are. If you're favored, I want you to lose. Not because anything that happens on my side of things, but just because it's March, baby. I want to see every team get upset.
Dude, I am looking forward to a Cinderella story. Speaking of Cinderella stories, I think back to, I want to talk about this. This is one of my, not fondest memories, but this is one of the ones that sticks with me the most. Do you remember watching Virginia lose to UMBC sitting in the hotel of...
About to go play Penn the next day?
And we were getting ready to play Penn the next day. And everyone was talking about how we were going to be the first to lose to a 16 seed, and then we watch UMBC beat Virginia. Like that, and Coach Self shuts it off as soon as they lose and turns around to the room because we had been getting ready for dinner or snack, or something like that.
Yeah, I think
It's late at night.
One.
It's like 10 o'clock at night. As soon as the clock hits 0, Coach Self the thing blinks out, and he turns around to us. You mother better not do that. You see what happens to them? They came out there like that. And I just remember being the most motivated I could possibly be heading into our game against Penn.
And we were up only we were maybe down at halftime or up 2 at halftime.
It wasn't great.
Though.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great. We almost did it. I was nervous for a
we
little
tried
bit.
to be the second team of all time to do it, but we ended up getting the job done, going to a Final Four. I think that's something that really sticks with me is that you can't take these 16 seeds for granted. March is all about the Cinderella story, and there is no better Cinderella story than a 16 beating a 1.
Okay, I have a Cinderella prediction, a thought, maybe a team to look out for, and it's somebody that you can't bet against in March. Their teams are always lackluster during the year. If they're a 1 seed, they end up losing, but if they're a lower seed, they have an opportunity to go far, and that is
it Tom Izzo?
Izzo. Yeah, baby. Tom Izzo. I like him. I think I have him in the Sweet 16 in my bracket, my personal bracket. So you know what? I think they can make a little bit of a run. I think Mississippi State will obviously be a hard game. North Carolina is a good team, but experience beats talent, and Michigan State has experience and talent. And North Carolina has experience in the players, but not as much in the coach with Hubert Davis. I think there's an opportunity there for Michigan State to move on to the second weekend.
Chris, hot take, but I think that Michigan State's going to be reading that all the people are like, oh, they shouldn't have made it. Why did they make it? I think that's going to light a fire under their ass and give them the motivation that they need to go out there and handle business. North Carolina, I don't know, dude. They've been far in the tournament. They've been to a national championship game recently. Now, granted, their coach is in his third year. Oof. Yeah, I can get behind that. I think Michigan State can go out there. They've got a Hall of Fame coach that can coach his ass off. I think he can coach them to beating UNC. That's a hot take from the Rock Chalk Unplugged guys.
Yeah. All right, so let's pick 2 more Cinderella stories, 2 more first weekend mismatches, upsets, something to keep an eye out. If they're on one channel and you're watching a game that's a blowout, maybe switch to this one. Another one I have Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's. I don't think that's too much of a hot take. I gotta be with my guy.
Tyler Grant Foster, baby.
Yeah, Ty and Grant Foster, and they've played really, really good throughout this. Really the whole conference season. So
can we talk about the fact that that's one we let get away? He is so good.
But he may have not played the way that you wanted to play at Kansas. At Grand Canyon, dude, he's really doing whatever he's doing. He's doing whatever he wants to do, which that's the player he was. Was he going to sit inside of an offense? No, he's more of a Remy Martin type guy where if he's going to do some things where you're going to be like, and then
he's the guy that we would love to have on our team right now to come up to support and give us buckets that when you need a bucket one-on-one, he's that guy. Mm-hmm. But having played, me and you both played with Tyon, I think that obviously the year that he was here, it was during COVID and things didn't go as well as they did in 2022.
No.
The vibes weren't as good. You're having a social distance all the time, no fans at the game. So I think he probably had I wouldn't say a negative experience, but an experience where it wasn't what it could be.
It was time to make a big roster change. It's not a personal thing. It wasn't like he was doing anything bad. It wasn't like we told him to
He's
get
a bad
off.
guy or anything.
Yeah, I just think that was a year that we had a complete roster turnover outside of the starting 4. Really, if you look at it.
Chris, one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. What a great time to be a Kansas Jayhawk fan because of our rivals. Wow. How about K-State and Mizzou, man?
That is one thing seasons. I don't see any of them in this bracket. I've been looking for a minute.
How many conference games did Mizzou win this year?
Didn't they go undefeated?
They went defeated.
Oh!
I think they went really defeated. They were super defeated.
Yeah, that dude. So that was one of those things where, I mean, I don't watch enough Mizzou basketball. I will never tune into a Mizzou basketball game unless they're playing Kansas. Never,
It's
ever in
it's
my
an
life.
impressive stat. It's an impressive stat.
That's impressive. And you know what? I didn't think they looked that bad when they played us at home. I mean, we obviously, like, they were turned up, whatever, but was that the unraveling of their season? Is that Daddy came and spanked them and then they just, like, put their tail between their legs and were like, just please end
Ran
it.
for the fences.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. That was so bad. Then let's also talk about K-State, a 19-14 team that said they had every right to be in the NCAA tournament. 19-14, dude. You barely people. They don't even want. If you win your conference tournament and you're 19-14, they're going to put your ass as a 16 seed. So don't act like you should get an at-large bid because you were barely above 500 and had 2 really good wins. Yay, guys!
I think that I look at Kansas State and I think they are all bark and absolutely no bite. Like, I think that there was so much that went on around their program this year, whether that be the Iowa State. Oh my gosh, they're texting from behind our bench.
Yeah.
They have phones. To them complaining and jumping into the stands, like dancing with their. Like, I think that is one of the more abysmal seasons that I have seen. Through their first 2 seasons,
Louisville,
Bruce Weber was more successful than Jerome Tang.
Jerome Tang,
bring Bruce back. Bring Bruce back. Bring back the play hard chart because you guys need it.
The play hard chart, Jesus Christ, Bruce Weber, get him out of here. I don't want to see him in Big 12. I don't want to see him anywhere. But
no. Kansas State needs it back.
They can have him back, but I just can't stand that dude at all. I can't stand him. But if you're really looking at Jerome Tang, he inherits one really, really, really good player from Bruce Weber, which is Marquise Noel, who carries them, backpacks them, along with Tomlin, who hit his stride at the right time, and along with Keontae Johnson, who was a very good basketball player, takes them to an Elite 8 run and is a couple points shy of going to the Final Four. And then to put up a season like this, but everybody just wants to talk about the difficulties they had having Tomlin there and having a freshman out. He's going to be one of those guys, just like a Charlie Weiss and other people who have a big-time job for like 1 or 2 years, have a disappointing season, and then go to a school like Louisville or, DePaul or some other schools that are big-name jobs opening up, get a $5 million a year payday, last for 2 seasons there, get fired, and go retire in Cabo somewhere with his $20 million he made.
I hope Kansas State signs him to a massive deal, a massive multi-year deal that totally isn't going to backfire or anything when they go 14 and 12 next year.
You know what? I actually do. I have some kind of faith in him to be able to recruit a little bit. So I kind of want him out just because there would be a niche of teams. I mean, with NIL and having people transfer in and out, maybe not with having people rotate. But if you gave him 4-year players, I do think he could put together another team like that. I would really like K-State to go in another direction, not because I'm scared of them, but I also just hate listening to that man talk and his post-game interviews. And I mean, it's just corny to me. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to be a hater, but I am a hater. I mean, I'm not going to deny that one.
Hater!
But all right. So, hey, any more upsets, actually, give me your Final Four prediction and give me your national champion. I got mine off the top of my head.
Obviously, I can't pick against Kansas. Like, that is one of the things. That's why I never did a bracket while we were in school. I didn't do a bracket last year. Like, it's just hard for me to pick against Kansas because I love them so much. But if I had to bet, I'd put a UConn in there just because I think that they're really good. I think Dan Hurley has those guys playing. Obviously, I put the Kansas in there because we're going to figure it out. And when our starting 5 is healthy, we can play with anyone in the nation. We'll figure it out. Kentucky's been playing great. I think Kentucky can make it to a Final Four. Mm-hmm. And then that last spot for me is where I'm having trouble trying to figure out who's going to make it there. We just got done talking about how I think that North Carolina could lose. That's something that it's hard for me to. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick out that last bracket out in the West. Give me another Big 12 school. Give me Baylor.
You know what, Mitch?
Baylor, a 3 seed, can make it out of the West.
I am not lying to you right now, and I just pulled up my bracket, and I mean, you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but my Final Four teams are UConn versus Baylor, Kentucky versus Kansas, UConn versus Kansas, the national title.
Are you serious?
I swear to God. I read every ounce of analytics.
No way. I didn't.
That is my Final Four.
No idea.
Yeah, that's my Final Four. And
everyone watching this is my first time hearing Chris tell me his bracket. That's impressive. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, hey, great minds think alike. And it was because we crunched the numbers for the last 6 hours, running through all the analytics, all the simulations, whatever you want to call it. And that is the most likely outcome for the NCAA tournament right there. And the Kansas Jayhawks have every analytic tool in their side, on their side, about to go make a run that people thought was impossible. We're the Cinderella story this year as a 4 seed, as the University of Kansas, the most historic program in college basketball. But guess what? We're going to make a Cinderella run right here.
Chris, I will not be surprised when the Hawks make it to the second weekend and we are looking at a chance to go to a Final Four, because me and you talked about it and we manifested it and we put it out there into the universe. And now it's going to come back to us.
I've actually saged my house and did some other voodoo rituals around my house, and I have a big Jayhawk statue in there. So, I mean, if the voodoo magic gods are real, just like the ones I met in New Orleans, I think I like our shot a lot.
We'll see you in the Final Four, baby. The Hawks are going to Phoenix.
Hey, and with that concludes another episode of Rock Chalk Unplugged. Me and Mitch expect and hope to be with you guys again next week to give you a breakdown of the Sweet 16 Elite 8 bracket. And then hopefully the week after that, as we're talking about the Final Four National Championship. So, hey, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscribe, leave comments, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you guys want to hear about next week, hopefully when we advance.
We'll be in the Sweet 16. See you then.
See you then. Rock Chalk, baby.